Being a calm and steady father doesn't mean nothing ever rattles you. It means your kids know who they're going to get, which dad is going to show up when life does get busy and does get messy. That is what we call consistent character. And that is what we're talking about in today's episode. Hi, I'm Dan Hayden, and this is the Positive Legacy Podcast for Christian fathers. Today, we're finishing up our series called Activating Faith, Daily Habits to Build Trust with Your Kids. And today, we're talking about consistent character, becoming a dad that your kids recognize. Because whether they say it out loud or not, your kids are always asking, which dad is going to show up today? This is not the dad that means to be there, but the dad who actually walks into the room. Kids don't experience our intentions. They experience our patterns. They experience our tone and our presence. You know, it's not the occasional trip to Disneyland or the huge birthday party that you planned. Those moments aren't the ones that build trust. It's the ordinary, everyday moments that actually matters. It's a Tuesday morning when you're getting ready for school, or it's a Sunday afternoon when your kid wants you to unlock their iPad. It's the fifth reminder about socks on the floor. So many socks. Where does he find them all? It's also found in the we're already late for church, we got to get out the door kind of scramble. We've all been there. Look, big moments do matter, but they don't override the daily experiences. And apologies, important as they are, don't replace predictability. You can't yell 6 days a week and expect one sorry on a Sunday afternoon to just solve all of the problems. What builds trust is when your kids start to know what emotional temperature to expect, how you respond when things go wrong, and that you will still be recognizable even on those bad days. You know, one time I asked the guys in my paid community one pretty simple question. What do your kids experience most often? Not your highlight reel version, the everyday version. Before I started this PQ journey, my kids experienced a dad who was often intense, stressed out most of the time, made the whole house feel like we were walking on eggshells. I told the men in my group, my kids could drop a dinner fork at the table and the whole room would freeze just to see how I would react. Now they're experiencing a very different pattern. I still blow it sometimes, but far less often. And when I do, like we talked about last week, I repair a lot more quickly. And then most days, my tone and reactions are just more predictable. I saw this recently with one of my daughters. One morning, I completely lost it about timing. Let's be honest, she's a teenage girl. She's late a lot. She wasn't ready when we needed her to be. Old me would have shut her down for the whole day. This time, I caught myself. I apologized to her in the car. And here's the key. She just rolled with it. She knows that dad who blows up, that guy's the exception. He's no longer the rule. She understands he'll calm down in a couple of minutes. This isn't who he is all the time. Consistency gives your kids bigger context for your failures. You know, in that recent mastermind I talked about, one of the guys shared how his tone has changed with his kids. You know, before it was, hey, get down here. And it was always a knockdown, drag out fight because socks were on the floor. Now it's just a calm, sort of matter of fact tone. Hey, come on downstairs. Hey, these socks don't belong in the living room. You know that. Hey, don't turn around yet. I need you to come pick them up and bring them upstairs. Same standard, different spirit. You know, another guy shared he's most consistent actually when he gets home from work. As hard as his workday might be, the kids feel like a break compared to some of the adults that he has to deal with. So he's learned that walking through the door is actually a place he can reliably bring his calmer, steadier self. But Sundays before church or trying to get everyone out the door, that's a volatile zone. That's a different issue. And he named it. And that awareness is the first step towards changing it. Remember, consistency doesn't mean you're emotionless, you're always calm, you're never tired. Life is all rainbows and butterflies. I say that all the time. Consistency means your reactions are familiar more often than they're surprising. Your tone doesn't swing wildly from day to day, and your values show up even when you're under pressure. In other words, your kids can answer, I basically know which dad I'm going to get, even if he's had a long day. Hebrews reminds us that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. We'll never match that, and that's okay. But as our character becomes more consistent, our kids get a more trustworthy picture of what steadiness might look like. And PQ and the sage work that we do is all about shrinking the gap between trigger and reaction. You know, before it was just, Trigger, reaction. Now we're learning. Trigger, pause, make a choice, and now respond. We have replaced that immediate reaction with calmness and a response. One of my clients put it this way: intensity feels productive. The louder I get, the more things seem to move. But in reality, I'm just burning out. One calm response repeated 50 times outweighs one powerful moment done once. PQ reps, breath prayers, naming your saboteurs, these aren't just for your inner peace. They reduce your emotional volatility so your kids get more of the same dad over time. I gave the men in my group 3 simple questions, and now I want to give them to you. If you're not driving, go ahead and jot these down. Where am I most consistent? Is it mornings? Maybe it's the evenings, after work, bedtime? Second question, where am I most volatile? Sunday mornings before church, trying to leave the house, during homework or chores. Third, where does pressure most quickly change who I become? Is it work stress or money stress? Is it a certain behavior of one particular child? You're not answering these to judge yourself. You're answering in sage mode. You're answering for clarity, not condemnation. Because once you know those hot zones, you can start to design steadiness from there. Here's a coach's challenge I gave the guys, and I'll give to you too. This week, pick one situation, a recurring moment where you tend to be inconsistent. Example, again, getting the kids in the car for church. Next, one consistent response you want to bring to that situation. It doesn't have to be a whole script, just one way you want to show up. It sounds something like, I will speak more calmly and clearly. I will give one clear instruction and then follow through. And lastly, I want you to watch for one internal cue. The first sign your saboteurs are taking over, maybe it's a tight chest or a clenched jaw, an eye roll, an urge to bark out orders. When you notice that cue, that's your moment for PQ reps. That's your moment for a sage reset. Again, one slow breath. Notice the weight of your feet on the floor. And then a quiet breath prayer. Lord, help me be steady right now. Then bring that response that you decided ahead of time. You're not trying to overhaul everything. You're training your nervous system to be a little more predictable in one specific situation. Over time, that one situation becomes a new platform, and patterns are what your kids trust the most. Fathers, your kids don't need a flawless dad. They need a dad who is emotionally available more often than not, repairs when he blows it, and shows up with a character they recognize, even when he's under pressure. That's consistent character. That's how they learn, slowly and deeply. My dad is steady. I can trust him. Maybe God is like that too. Hey, as you look at your week, what's one situation you're willing to pick as your steadiness training ground? And what's the one way you want to respond differently here? Thanks as always for joining me. Talk to you again next week.